All right, let's start with everyone rolling d20s.
I thought I was giving the recap.
I thought
Oh,
you were
I thought
recording
you were
it.
gonna. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know how to record things. I
You
don't
don't
have
have
like a.
OBS?
I I'm not I'm not video and I'm not like media inclined. I don't know how to
Oh, it's so
record.
easy. I'll teach you sometime. But
Okay. I
I
could give.
vote that Dylan does it
Okay. Do you want me to like recap the past two sessions since Dylan
as
Yes.
Dylan.
lost the
Yes,
time?
as Dylan.
Dylan just takes a long drag from his cigarette, like. Guess I gotta start at the beginning.
Sitting in front of a fireplace
Oh, I feel it
on a recliner.
on a recliner. I feel like he needs a rocking chair.
No, a recliner.
Oh,
That or just
fine.
like he's
Those are
like
the
in a
best.
bar, like he's in a tavern, like he's sitting in like a chair in the very corner, and like people like approach him like, come for a story, have you? Well, I got plenty.
Yep.
He pulls out like one of those little pipes from like pipe and a monocle.
I don't think he'd
Sherlock
wear a
Holmes
monocle.
style.
Like probably like some like a pipe though. I can see that.
Yeah.
Maybe not now, not this type.
Oh yeah,
But,
I
but maybe
forgot that you also shaved off your beard. Your beard's gone now.
I did, but this is the future Dylan, who probably has a new beard. It's kind of
Yeah.
graying a little bit.
Joan's hair is gone. Leon's, well, everything else is gone.
What? Why is Leon's hair gone? Why is Joan's hair gone? Like, what is that? How
Oh,
elves work in this setting?
she cut her hair. Remember?
Yeah, you cut off your beard and mustache, and Joan cut off her hair around the nape of her neck.
Right, you like gave yourself like pixie cut, I guess is what the word is.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's not really a pixie cut. Pixie cut is
Yeah.
closer to the head. That was just
Yeah.
shoulder length hair.
Yeah. But I wasn't being. Yeah. I don't blame poor little Matt for not knowing. Anyway. But I do imagine it being like that nice sloped look just because of how she pulled it back together. And I mean, it's frayed, but you know.
Yeah, like the '60s, like little.
I was thinking more like the 20s.
Oh man, now I need to look up all these hairstyles.
All right, so are you gonna do the recap or are we gonna roll?
Yes, I'm gonna do the recap
All right.
for the past two sessions.
Hmm.
And let's not like drag it on because we got a lot to do in this session.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, I found it.
Okay. Gather around, children, for the tale of the four idiots trying their best. It all started back when we discovered that the hags had fooled the very stupid, very mean, very hurt person of Lord Balkvidge's son, Bert, into thinking that the princess of the king of the country, Astria, and was planning on killing her at the noble party. So we decided that we were going to go down there, finish off the hags once and for all. But Lord Balkovich told Leon, it's like, you know what would be even better than getting you highly trained professionals? I get a bunch of very low-level guards to do the job for you. And we're like, eh. And we didn't 100% agree with that. So we went down there, but the hags had already left. We got into a minor scuffle with some Sahuagin. That's very evil fish people, for those who don't know. We managed to escape. We rested. We decided to go to the library because Dylan wanted to look up some stuff about his potential noble lineage, the Silvarius family. And there they learned that the Silvariuses are one of the three like biggest houses in the very early days of the human society of the country of Astria, what would become Astria. So, but that they got into a fight with the Astrian family and were pretty much deposed from power. And then somehow Dylan came along the way. After this, Lord Balkovich, being the very level-headed, intelligent person he is, came in with his Gestapo/guards to come and arrest us, making a very loud scene and noise about it. Panicking, through everybody but Dylan hid behind shelves, but Dylan decided to disguise himself as a librarian using his vocal mimicry abilities. Long story short, they found the three people who were hiding. They did not find Dylan. The three of them decided to give themselves up until Lord Balkovich pulled his really expensive, I'm going to put these really nice, expensive shackles on them. Their magic automatically gives anybody attached to them 3 levels of exhaustion. Yeah. Can't pay us 100 gold each, but has money to buy that bullshit.
Maybe that's why he
Am I
didn't
right,
have enough
folks?
money to
Choose.
broke the
No
bank
wonder.
by buying some nice magic stuff.
Fucking. Nope. Lord. So anyway, they put the shackles on Leon and Mason, and then Jace, they go to do it to Joan, and Joan's like, not in my house. Jumps through the window, runs away. And then Dylan slowly meanders himself out of the town. So Leon and Mason thrown into the dungeon. Joan and Dylan reconnect at the bait and tackle, where they go over all the stuff that had transpired, and they decide to disguise themselves as some sickly people with the seaport disease, and and Dylan also shaved his majestic beard, and Joan also cut off her amazing hair to help further the disguise, because we're dedicated to the art.
Dedicated.
So we left the tavern and we went to go hide by the docks. Meanwhile, Lord Balkovich was doing a whole sneaky deaky interrogation of Leon and Mason, and they were like, I know what you did. I know exactly what you did to me. Are you going to tell us what we did to you? No, you know what you did. We really don't. Yes, you do. We really don't. Don't play games. Whereas Dylan, no idea what I say about playing games. I have literally no idea. Drown them until they tell me. Pulls a lever. They're all dunked underneath water, suffocating. Drain it out. Now will you tell me? I was like, we literally don't know where Dylan is. Or I have no idea why you are so upset. I guess I should probably bring in my magic friend to read your minds. And they're like, why the fuck did you not do that first, you old freaking senile coot? And I do not have to explain my reasons. I am Lord Balkovich. And so they bring in his friend. So he brings in his weird, shady magic friend, who I believe was Marticus. That was his name?
Yep.
Okay. And Marticus is like, I will read their minds. And they read Leon's mind. And poor Leon, with his low wisdom save and his disadvantage on wisdom saves, was not able to give the best fight. But I don't blame him. So I read his mind to be like, okay, doesn't know where he is. According to his mind, he has no idea why he's been captured. He's pretty sure he's innocent. And he's like, I do not care about the specifics and facts. Tell me where Dylan is. I'm like, okay. Dylan. Okay. And then okay. Apparently they stayed at a kind of out of the way bar called Bait and Tackle. Okay. I will get you. You keep searching their minds. I will go put the guards to go towards the Bait and Tackle. Soon we shall capture that evil, heinous, extremely handsome, very young and agile Dylan. What was all that last part? Nothing. And then of course the guard, and then that happens. On one side, Dylan and Joan chilling at the docks. Guards are freaking people out by asking a lot of questions, and nobody knows what's going on except that apparently the guards are acting like 9/11 happened or something. The fantasy equivalent, martial law is being called, and everybody's confused. And eventually, Dylan hears a little scuffle going towards a big noise, and he's like, Joan. And he has a really heart-to-heart moment with Joan, telling him about how close he feels to her and Leon, and gives her a message that she can only read if he doesn't meet up with her. And so he goes out to the tavern. Turns out it's the bait and tackle, and the guards, being the expert investigators, are making a mess of it and finding jack shit. Remember, these are also the competent guards that were expected to take on hags. So anyway, Dylan disguises himself as a guard, talks to a guy, and says, "I'm also a guard." It's like, wait, then where's all your things? I don't have them. And they're like, I'll allow it for now. And so he lets Dylan, like, okay, rookie, aka Dylan in disguise, you're in charge of interrogating this evil family. Points towards the very innocent, very confused family. And they're like, you got it, chief. Dylan goes inside, pretends to be all interrogation, but he can't do it. He's just like, listen, it's me, it's Dylan. I'm really sorry all this happened to you. I don't know fucking what's going on. And they're
he started crying.
It's really, you guys are really nice to me, and I don't want this to happen to you. I'll pay you back. And they're all really, it's heartwarming moment because he's they forgive him and stuff, and they say they'd do anything for him. And then he's just like, yep, I got all the knowledge I needed. I had to rough him up a bit. He didn't rough him up. And so he goes outside, tells him all this information, and then the guard's just like, I don't know this information, and I've been in the city a lot longer than you. And I'm just like, well, it's not my fault you're a shitty guard.
Oh.
That's not what he said, but it's pretty what I was thinking.
That's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, it was just like, I said I really pay away. Well, see, sir, I pay attention to what people tell me, and I remember things very well. I have skills that guards need. But anyway, and then he's like, I think that you are, even though I did very well at deception, he still saw through my disguise. I guess I was too good at being a detective. And he saw through my eyes and basically was like, let me see your badge. And of course, the badge is part of my illusionary disguise. And I just had to be like, okay. I try to there's an old saying, if you can't surprise them with if you can't wow them with your knowledge, you can baffle them with your bullshit. I was basically trying to do a whole thing where I accused the guard captain of being Dylan. Well, I escaped. Didn't work. I got found out. I surrendered myself to the guards, and they brought me to interrogation. And of course, Lord Balkovich comes in, and he's super upset about things. He comes inside, hits me in the face, and just like, how dare you? How dare you betray me, you evil, vile, traitorous, beautiful, sexy. How much I hate you, Dylan.
Definitely what happened.
Definitely what happened. Not, no exaggeration for the sake of comedy. But anyways, this is, you let the hags escape, and we're like, we really didn't. We didn't 100% follow you, but the hags were not, if the hags left, it was not our fault. And Dylan explained it, and for once in his useless life, Lord Balkovich finally listened to reason and was like, okay, fine, maybe you probably didn't do what I thought you did. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay here. I'm going to go to party with my son. Oh, the same party where all those nobles are going to be, including Princess, the daughter of the king? Yes. And this is the same son who we also told you was planning on killing the daughter of the king? Yes. Is that not the end of this conversation? But anyway, I tried to convince him, okay, I'll pretend to be your son, and we'll help you. And of course, we get back to the thing, and he's like, okay, problem. I made mansion that was invincible, could not cast magic inside the mansion. It's immune. And I'm like, shit. So instead of me pretending to be Bert, I'm now pretending to be Dylan Salvarius, which I probably am, and as a long-lost son of the forgotten noble house, who is being patroned by the Lord and his son, specifically so he can pledge allegiance to the king and its noble structures and all of that. Meanwhile, while all this other stuff was happening, Mardicus was also reading Leon's mind, and he discovered that Leon is an elf. And he's just like, oh no, this is amazing. I gotta get this guy back to my secret people, so we can run ET tests on you, because we are the villains, bad guys, and we run tests on things we don't know about. And then Leon's just like, I'd really rather he didn't. And it's just like, too bad. Okay, what about this? And Leon bites his own tongue off and tries to kill himself like a very disturbing badass that he is. And then he's just like, oh no. They heal him. He's just like, let's bring him to the carriage. And he's just like, okay, everybody's in the carriage. The driver's here. What was I forgetting? Oh, right, I remember. And he's like, take the shot. And like the 4 guards that helped get the Leon out of the prison were just shot dead by something. I don't know. It was unclear what killed them. So anyway, 4 guards dead. This guy's all playing like Tom Clancy conspiracy going on. They're driving. They find a secret exit to like a secret exit out of the city, which is a very interesting thing to have for the city.
Especially since I was on lockdown.
Yeah.
No, there's a hole in the wall, and they reclosed it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was like
There was a secret exit.
It seemed like such an easy. It seems like such a like obviously it's like well hidden, but it doesn't seem like if you know about it, it doesn't seem like it'd be a hard thing to open.
I mean, like they had a secret like knock thing.
Yeah.
Which anyway. I don't remember, and I should have written.
But anyway, they go down the road a few ways. He's just like, Leon's just very upset. It's like, I wish I was dead. And the guy's being like, I'm so evil. Test, experiment.
And just like poking on at his brain.
Yeah, just trying to read his mind. And Leon's thinking of stuff like family, doesn't care about that. Sadness, doesn't care about that. This bad guy. Anyway, the driver's just like, oh, sir, there's a guy in the middle of the road. Okay, and there are 2 options. We could either A, go around him, or B, kill him for no reason. I'm sorry, I was not. So you're saying there's only one option? Gets out of the carriage, like says, sorry, we're in a hurry. Tries to kill him. Turns out, who is this guy? It's our old friend Davion from the mountains.
Yeah.
And Davion pretty much no-sells like this whole fireball, and the guy's freaking out like, oh no. And then Davion beats the ever-loving shit out of him, leaves him alive. And then the driver freaks out, and like Davion throws something at him and like breaks all of his bones in the body. Like literally, Davion threw a chunk of relatively solid earth, kind of like clay almost, hits him in the head. Guy falls down, and I pretty much breaks every bone in his body.
I think it was like a bomb, like a tiny little miniature bomb.
I don't think it was a bomb.
That's what I know
Marcus had that, but I'm pretty sure Davion just like picked up some like dirt from like the street and like tossed at the guy and like one-shotted him basically. And so then at this point, like Leon is able to escape from the carriage. Him and Davion have a very silent but heartfelt reunion. Davion helps him get the handcuffs on, and Leon gets to finish off Marcus and also the driver, and also Davion, as a final show of how badass he is, lifts the carriage and tosses it into the river.
After he freed the horses.
No horses were harmed in the show.
Important note.
However, Leons were hurt in the making of the show.
Owls were hurt. Lots of owls. Many owls. Wyverns, hags, bards, barbarians, and anybody played by Zach were hurt in the making of this movie. But anyway, Davion and Leon start walking back towards the city. Joan is like waiting by the Lord's house.
By the carriage. No, she was in front of it.
Yeah,
she was like 100 feet.
A few yards in front of the carriage, waiting for her moment to do whatever Joan likes to do, and Zach is still in prison, and also Dylan is getting ready to go to the party where he will have to keep a psychopath from killing the princess, while at the same time making the least likable nobles in the entire country likable. Dylan has his work cut out for him, and in fact, we all do. And that was the story of the 4 idiots trying their best. God bless them.
Yay!
Okay, that's the end of my story. think I summed it up.
Yep.
Davion must have a strength of like 30.
Not even 30. Like, holy cow.
I mean, I don't know what it. I mean, how heavy are?
He didn't even flinch when that tiny little miniature bomb was thrown at him.
I
He
mean,
didn't
maybe
even
he's.
flinch.
That could just mean he has a whole like so many hit points that like a third level. It's probably. I'm guessing Marticus like did a very. If it from the way he described it, it was like he didn't cast Fireball, but he had like a ball that made Fireball. So I'm guessing it was probably a low level one.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing
Beat a
that
Fireball.
Davion has so many hit points.
All
I'm
the hit
assuming
points.
all the hit points, or
All
just
the hit
resistant to
points.
fire damage for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Also that.
Maybe he was raging too.
Maybe. Though, if that would mean he was the same kind of barbarian that Leon is. But
Dun,
I
dun,
wonder
dun.
how heavy is a carriage? Like a carriage with no horses,
Heavy.
nothing inside it.
Really heavy.
Probably like a tonish.
Plus, I think that it was probably made out of metal because it was carrying.
Really? I was thinking wood.
Yeah, no, I think it was
It's
made out of metal.
probably. I mean, metal's expensive for a carriage. I'm sure.
Yeah,
it was
but
at
then
least-
again,
it was
they.
I mean, yeah, but it was probably at least 50% wood. Like you can't make 100% metal carriage. Like it would just sink into the dirt.
Yeah, of course, yeah, but it kept prisoners, obviously.
Maybe it was like
So-
an inch. Maybe it was like a magical carriage with like wood. I don't know. It's in the river. We don't care.
Magical carriage.
It's magic. That's copyrighted.
It's copyrighted. You
Oh,
know.
no.
Can't sing that song on this show. It's magic. No, no.
Just slowly losing our minds.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hey, Andrew, you still there, buddy? Andrew?
Andrew? You good?
Please tell me nothing went wrong with the recording.
Oh, no.
I'm not doing that recap again.
Oh, no.
But why not?
It was so long. I'm like...
What happened to the DM?
Find out next
Oh,
time.
no. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I guess we're going to have to choose a new DM now.
Okay.
Ooh,
I mean, Dylan Mordecai's initials are literally M. Just saying.
wow.
They are. Actually, they are.
But so were Don's.
Well, look what Don happened to.
Nah, not really.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't, because Don's last name was... What was it he chose?
Oh, that's true. He chose something else. You're right.
Yeah.
He wasn't a Mordecai. 'Cause
Hey,
he's
Zach,
college.
what was Don's last name? It was something like...
It started with an F, didn't it?
Fairland.
Yeah.
Look at my memory. Oh,
Fairland.
brain flex. Sorry,
I just hear you whisper.
I need less.
How much
Bro,
caffeine
you know what
did
his
you
actual last
have?
name was?
What was it?
Fucking dead.
I didn't have any caffeine.
Really?
Really?
How many episodes did he last? 2?
Who?
Not even. I don't. No, he lasted 2.
It was...
No.
He
it
lasted
was
2.
two.
It was
It
2.
wasn't a... It was like 3, I think, but it
No,
wasn't
yeah,
like
it
a
was 2.
full 3. Yeah, it was 2.
It was 2.
I forgot how much we got done on one of those sessions.
Not a lot, honestly, because we get sidetracked.
Yeah, so
pretty
far Mason's been
easily.
like the, so far Mason's been like the longest
In jail.
In jail.
in jail where he can't get hurt, which just means this is his third character to go to prison.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but it's
Dang.
not even my fault that I'm in prison. The fuck you.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's not
It
my
was-
fault you can't sneak.
It's your character's fault that he's in prison.
Really,
I mean,
I think it's
technically it's-
Dylan's fault.
It's
Technically, it's all of our fault
not
because we
Dylan's.
did turn
It's
ourselves
not, It's not Dylan's fault.
Actually, it wasn't anyone's fault. It was
It's
Lord
mostly Lord
Balkovich's fault
Balkovich's
because
fault.
he was
For being so
yeah.
extremely aggressive about arresting us.
Aggressive.
To be fair, with Bert being so easily swayed by the hags, honestly, Dylan was partly afraid that they got to Lord Balkovich and tricked him too.
That would be a fair concern.
It would be a fair concern.
And
Yeah, but now I'm gonna need to draw our
You're gonna need
dearest
to
Joan
draw.
again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with how old Lord Balkovich is, I don't think he has where he can keep jumping to conclusions. Am I right?
Oh my gosh. No.
Andrew.
Do. I think that's also copyrighted. But
I don't know what song you're doing.
really know
If
if
you
it
sing
is
something,
or
if you
it
sing something
isn't.
badly enough, they can't copyright strike you.
That's fair.
It isn't. I don't know if that song is copyrighted. Copyrighted?
You know what song is not copyrighted?
What?
Seaport.
Stop. I regretted it as soon as I
by
saw.
the sea.
Not even saw. What?
I like your rendition of Seaport.
Hey, Adea.
Yeah.
Not to make me sound bad, but I didn't even notice that you pinged me or messaged me.
Oh, well, I just did.
Yeah, I seen that.
Okay, not sure what happened to Andrew. That's
He
not a
down-
good sign.
All right, everybody, go into his personal DMs. All right,
And all at once,
spam them.
spam him.
I mean, I already sent him a message that he'd get an alert on
Ah, true.
in the main chat. I did add Andrew.
All right, everybody in the main chat, just spam Andrew. At Andrew.
No, he'll get mad. Okay, we need to be in his good graces, otherwise we're not gonna survive. You know what would be funny?
What's that?
What?
If our characters didn't suffer for an entire session, wouldn't that be funny?
And
Well,
That's hilarious.
and then we all had a really good session. We met so many goals. And we were happy with our circumstances. And then
Yeah.
we wake up and we were under some hag spell at the end. And
Yep.
we don't have. Yep, that sounds like something that would happen.
Yeah.
My heart is feeling a little crushed.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe something, I don't know, if something came up or not.
Maybe
should I
he
go
was
ahead-
attacked.
Oh no.
By who? Morgan's here.
Oh, yep, that's
know.
right.
I'm kidding.
I don't appreciate this.
Well, I just realized I haven't talked to Andrew on direct message since June 20th.
Really?
Yeah.
I talk to him all the time.
I mean, I talk to him, of
'Cause
course, every
it's
week,
funny.
and on the main chat. But
Oh. Yeah, but
mostly it's the last thing I talked to him about was he wanted to know some more stuff about Dylan's character.
yeah. Honestly, I ping him not even, but now and then again. At some random moments about some things about land that I was thinking about.
Intriguing.
Yes.
Alright.
Hey.
Oh, hi!
Andrew's back.
Not gonna lie, I blacked out.
Oh, dude, you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Alright.
Oh, man, I
So,
wish
I knew my storytelling was intoxicating, but that is ridiculous. Seriously, though, are you okay?
So,
Matt, your voice is so smooth it made our DM just peace out.
sleep.
So, we shall start with Mason.
Okay. All right.
So Mason, you're in this cell specifically designed to keep prisoners shackled to the floor so that they have no choice but to sit and drown. And you are extremely tired from these magical shackles when all of a sudden the Mardicus had a change of heart about keeping you two imprisoned. He freed Leon and took him as prisoner. And now you're just kind of sitting here on your own. There are 2 guards that are stationed outside of your cell to make sure that nothing funny happens. But as you're kind of like sitting here, trying your hardest to not fall asleep, you all of a sudden heard, like in the darkness, the sound of people, the 2 guards choking, and then the sound of their bodies falling to the ground. And when you slowly turned and looked like up the slope towards the metal bars, you then hear the metal door to the cell open. And you see what looks to be a humanoid figure with a extremely dark robe and hood, who is wielding a crossbow and stands at the at your cell door and loads, puts their foot into the ring to the front of the crossbow and pulls at the string, and then takes this bolt and then slaps it on top of the crossbow. And as he looks down at you, the figure goes, oh, this one, well, you won't squirm a lot now, will you?
I have no clue. I've just been imprisoned for very unknown reason.
By the way, Zach, to remind you, you have 3 levels of exhaustion at the moment.
Yeah, you're like
Oh, yeah,
piecing out probably.
Yeah, you have disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws,
And a speed reduction, I think?
Yeah, your speed is halved. So when he you say that, and the man says, I do not care why you are here. I just care if you're... The only thing I care about is seeing that you are dead and I get paid. Now, do me a favor. I mean, there's not really... You can't really move much since you're shackled to the floor, but still, sit still.
Go right ahead.
And he pulls up the crossbow right up to his face to aim down the sights. And just as he does so, you then all of a sudden, still in the dark. Well, there'd be like there's a torch, so it's dimly lit, but you don't see the figure's face. You see that someone, these 2 strange arms from the shadows, go around him and slit his throat.
Ooh.
And he stumbles forward and like face plants into the slope and slides. Blood now running down the slope of the cell. and his body stops at the wall at the bottom, and you like try to like peer up into the shadows to see who it is, but no one goes through peeks through the shadows.
Well done, mate. Are you here to kill me too, or?
And he says, "No. No, I'm not here to kill you. No." And stepping from the shadows, you see a strange figure who's wearing looks to be leather armor all around. He has a dark green tunic with sort of a light brown long sleeve shirt. Yeah, he's wearing I'd say kind of like I see it as like kind of like khaki colored trousers and then brown leather boots, and he wears a hood that is also that is a dark brown, and he slowly steps down the slope and spins the dagger. He twirls it in between his fingers expertly and sheathes it into his boot, and then he walks up to you and he pulls out what looks to be a key, and he releases the shackles off from you, and he holds out a hand that has like a leather kind of like gloved finger that he wears like a fingerless like glove. And he holds it out. He holds his hand out to help you up.
I'm gonna very shakily reach for it.
Wait, did he just take off his shackles?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So wait, doesn't that mean all of his exhaustion goes away?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Save the
Never mind.
shackles. Save the shackles.
Take the shackles with you. Take them. Coo coo.
I grab the shackles and grab his hand as well.
You see when you grab the shackles, the man says, "I think I'll be taking those as payment for saving your life."
Let it happen.
Well,
let him have 'em.
All right. And I toss the shackles to him.
I mean, we don't need two pairs.
You also then kind of see at this point, Mason, that you see that protruding from the shroud of this hood, there is a sort of a bushy red beard. And these two, he's got long red bangs that are kind of brushed, they're parted at the middle of the bangs and brushed off to the left and right of his face. And he looks at you with these sort of, I'd say probably like grayish eyes. And once when he now holds the shackles, he pulls out a very this low profile pack at his back and puts them inside. But the strange thing is that when he opens it, he doesn't shove them in. He just opens the pack and drops it in, and then shuts it, and then puts the pack back onto his back. And then he looks at you and he says, "All right, we need to get to the barracks so we can find your equipment, and then we need to get out of here. Not every single guard has been killed in the dungeon, but this assassin has killed a fairly decent amount."
Alright, well... the guard
This man!
Wait, that was the crossbow guy was the guy who killed those 4 guards.
No, the assassin guy was the guy who killed the 4 guards.
That's what I said.
Oh.
Hey,
I mean, the crossbow guy.
No, the assassin guy was the guy who killed the 4 guards. I would know. I'm the DM.
Is there any dead guards near me, Kurt, within
Yes.
looting range?
There's the one that slid down Oh, that's not guard. Never mind.
There are the 2 guards
Yeah.
who were stationed outside your cell that were killed by crossbow
Alright.
bolts.
Can I loot them to see what they have on them?
I mean, the guy would tell you like quit pissing around. We need to get going like now.
I'm sure their stuff isn't that good, and anything that
No.
would be worth money
I'm
would be
just gonna
too hard to
quickly
carry.
I'm gonna just quickly grab a weapon.
Okay.
Like one of their
That's a good idea.
spears.
Yeah.
So you can pick up like one of their spears,
Alright.
and he starts like leading you down the halls, but like halting you at every corner and then looking. And eventually, you do get down a hall where you see 2 guards are stationed outside, and he says, "All right, stay here. I'm going to get access to your items, and I will bring them back, and then we shall leave. Don't
Alright.
move." And then you
Okay.
see that he pulls out a ring from his pocket, and he slides the ring onto his ring finger, and then you see his form instantly transform into a one of the guards. And then he goes, and then from his pack, he pulls out a shield and a spear that matches the seaport ones, and he equips them. And then he just kind of looks at you, which you're probably just looking at him like, who the hell is this guy? He looks at you for a moment, and then just looks away, and then he starts marching down the hall. He approaches the 2 guards, and they say, what is the phrase? And the guard says, or this stranger says, rivers always reach the sea. And then one of the guards unlocks the door to the barracks and lets him inside. You see the stranger walks through the doorway and then disappears. A few minutes go by, and he steps out with a chest. And the guards look at him, and they say, they ask him, like, what it is that he's doing. And he says that Lord Balkovich has instructed him to get back the items of some prisoners. And they don't seem to question him beyond that. And he marches down the hall, and when he goes around the corner to where you are, he puts the chest down, and he opens it, and there are all of your items. He sees that you have some armor that will take you a few minutes to equip, and he suggests that we wait to put that on until we leave the dungeon. Everything else you can get together.
Alright, I'm gonna put like all my equipment on and just throw the chainmail in my backpack.
Okay. He like watches both ways.
Is it just Mason stuff, or is it also like Leon's
Just
and
Mason's.
Dylan's? Oh,
My stuff.
our stuff.
Our stuff.
When you get all of your stuff together, the man says, all right, now, follow me. I know a weak point that we can escape from. And he pulls off. You see that he keeps the disguise on, but he still now has the nature of himself, where he's sneaking around, trying to stay in the shadows, listening to every noise happening through the halls of this dungeon. And eventually you do see that there is, the hall has... a feature with these halls is that they don't have any windows, but every now and then there are kind of like what you would see maybe like a cellar, where on like the very top of a wall, there's like a small little like hole where a window would be, so you could see above ground. But instead of seeing like above ground, you see off of a sheer cliff that goes down into water. And he goes up to one of these and he pulls on the bars. And when he does this, they seamlessly just kind of pull off, and he sets it to the side. And he says, he goes, all right, when you climb up this hole, you're going to need to jump. Now, I know this sounds crazy because you're going to be falling hundreds of feet into a high tide, but just trust me.
How, like, do I have to, like, climb into the windowsill and jump off?
Yeah.
Or can I, like,
You would have
run
to like
and
climb
spread
through.
and jump out the window?
You would have to climb through.
Okay. Okay, then. I'll just climb through the window and do a dive.
All right. So you get through.
Do a flip.
You get through the window, like this small little window, and you're like hanging off the edge, and there's a breeze that brushes your hair back as you look down into the sea's depths. And then you take the leap of faith.
This is the craziest thing I've done. Ah. And then Mason dies
And
because
then-
he accidentally
Oh,
gets
gosh.
from the bottom.
The next thing that happens surprises you. You all of a sudden, as if coming out of nowhere, you land on something soft, like almost instantly. Like you hardly fell even a few feet. And you hear the sound of these large wings flapping. And when you look down, when you kind of like open your eyes, you see that you're lying in a bed of feathers.
Oh,
And
lovely.
you look up and you see these like gargantuan wings keeping you aloft above the water. And then you then see a silhouette covers you, and you look up and you see the hooded man holding out his hand again. And he says, hold my hand and grab a handful of feathers. This is going to be this will be a smooth ride. But let's just say the winds won't be in our favor.
I see. I do as the man suggested.
All right? You grab his hand and you grab a handful of feathers. And then you see this large head of this massive, large bird. It then kind of it grabs onto the wall, making the whole cliff shudder, and then it pushes off from it, and then starts flapping its wings again. And you see that it stays low as it glides across, as it kind of glides over the water. And then eventually, as you become so far to where the coast of Astria is damn near not even visible, it starts to take height into the sky, towards the clouds, and then going the opposite way from where it was going, back to the continent. And during this whole time, this figure is just kind of holding on to this bird as if he does this every other Tuesday. To you, the constant crash of wind that is trying to stop you from moving, kind of gives you a little fright that you're going to fall into the depths. But the secure grasp of the stranger and your grasp of this massive bird's feathers keeps you staying on this creature.
I ain't gonna lie, friend. I have my sea legs, not my air wings.
And the man says, "You're not going to get sick, are you?"
I don't think so.
Don't.
I mean, it's
Don't
been a while
puke
since
on
you've
my
eaten.
bird. So eventually, the large bird lands on the plains area where there's some hills towards the coast. And when it lands, it kind of like stands up. It doesn't stand up a little bit. It stands up a little bit to give a slope, so that you and the stranger can slide off its back. And when he does, he then goes. He whistles, and then you see, very quickly but very disturbingly, the creature's bones snap and shift and twist and turn, and then it just forms into a small little black feather. Which, by the way, the massive bird looked like a giant raven.
Lovely.
And he then the bird
So
the feather just
cool.
kind of floats and twirls, and then he like gently pinches the end of the feather with his index and his thumb, and then he tucks it in his ear, and then folds like kind of like you would like a pencil, and then kind of like folds his hood over to hide it. And then he says, "Well, now that we have gotten you out, someone had sent me to get you. It was your friend who had told me that you were trying to find me. Then the whole lockdown of the city had happened, and I started to investigate and heard all sorts of things."
Yeah, that's a shithole in itself, sir.
"Yes. So, you have me here. Why did you seek me?"
Well, I've heard some things that I'm hoping that an expert would know. You know about the seaport legend, correct?
"I've heard of it, yes."
You wouldn't know of a creature of the sort.
"No. I only know of what has been told, the tales."
And possibly, do you know where the ship is?
"No. Neither would I care."
I see. Alright, well, then we'll move on to the topic of our little investigation that got us into this whole big shit show at the seaport. So apparently the hags got away. Do you happen to know anything about them? Where they might be?
He says, "I had no clue that there were any sort of things such as hags inside of Seaport,
I see.
and neither would I care."
What does he care about? Besides being awesome.
Well, thanks for getting me out, and you wouldn't happen to know where my good old friend Dylan is, would you?
He says, no, I kind of suspected that if he wasn't in the dungeon with you, then he's either somewhere hiding in the city, or he's with the Lord. In fact, I was actually going to ask you the same thing.
I see. Well, I have no recollection of where Dylan is. He got away. Me and a buddy of mine got imprisoned. And then some wizard or some sort came and take my buddy away. Left me there to die in the fucking cell. Like a wild animal.
A wild animal in a cell.
Well, I was hoping that you were going to give me more information. But if that is all you know, then I suppose, then this is where I say farewell. And you see that he turns towards the direction of where Seaport would be. And you then see that he holds his two pinkies and presses them to the corners of his lips, and he whistles. And he puts his two arms down. And then, off in the distance, you hear the sound of two horses neighing. And then you hear their hooves stomp.
What is this man?
And you see a team of two horses carrying a wagon. A wagon with, it's not really a wagon, it's more of a coach. But like a very large one. Kind of think of it as like a medieval mobile home. But can be carried around, can be dragged around by two horses. And the roof is triangular. And the tiles are of multitude of different colors. And when the horses like park next to him, you see painted on the wall is something that says, and I have to pull up my notes because my damn laptop fell asleep. It says Melitotus's magical wares and wonders. And you see that the figure hops onto the driver's seat, and he looks back at you and he says, I would offer you a ride, but you're probably going to be a wanted criminal in Seaport. But I do feel bad for just leaving you here, so here.
Yeah, it's all good.
Let me give you this. It's sort of something to help you out in these wastelands. And you see that he, from his boot, he kind of like pulls up out of nowhere a dagger, and he catches it by the blade, and he like reaches down towards you, pointing the hilt at you. And when you grab it, you feel that this blade is extremely light. And he says, that right there is a knife that is made out of a extremely rare metal. So rare, in fact, that the king himself only has enough to possibly make another dagger exactly like that. It is extremely sharp, and it is a very durable type of material, but it is extremely light. It's also imbued with some magic as well, making it an even stronger weapon.
Let's see.
Need to get a permit for that.
It says, keep it close to you. And, if you
wouldn't have a permit.
If you possibly ever see me on my trails or in one of the large cities, Unless if it's Seaport. Don't come around me in Seaport. I don't want us to get connected beyond of what happened today.
Yeah.
But if you ever wish to gain
Understood.
more wares like that, don't be afraid to ask.
You wouldn't have a deed to the weapon, or do you want it back after?
He looks at you and he says, well, I need no deed for such things. I am a seller.
I see.
I have a separate deed to be able to hold these items. You, on the other hand, will need to have a registry for it. But
I see. So,
if I were you, since the metal it's made out of is extremely rare, I would keep it as much of a secret as I could.
all right. Well, let's see, guides you, sir.
You as well. And then he, yeah, and his horses carry him southward. Joan.
Uh-huh.
So you were like watching the outside of Lord Balkovich's manor, and you saw Dylan get practically carried inside, carried like with these guards holding onto his arms and keeping him lifted from his feet. And you wait for what seems like maybe over an hour, and you don't see really anything change from the outside. Is there anything you would like to do, or are you going to stand your ground and keep observing?
I'm going to continue to observe, thinking to myself, Dylan, what have you done this time? Because he said he was going just to the bait and tackle. He didn't say he was going here.
I didn't even say I was going to the bait and tackle. I didn't know where the noise was coming from.
You make a fair point, but I think you would have said if you were going here.
I would, but you also did hear like the guard, like the town crier, like tell you about like how had a message from Dylan Mordecai about like the whole "don't read the note anymore, I'm okay" kind of
Something
thing.
like that.
And that's of course it'd be very understandable for Joan not to be completely believing that.
Joan trusts nothing.
So, you observe for a little bit longer when you then see that a small handful of guards come out of the front doors and escort 3 figures. One of them you can clearly see is Lord Balkovich from his stance, his stature, and the way that he walks. You also see that standing, walking behind him is his... well, actually, I don't... Okay, so my memory's kind of hazing me. You're taking Bert with you, yes?
Yeah, because I can't disguise myself as Bert magically because Lord Balkovich told me that the house where the nobles are meeting has like protection against magic. Basically, it's like a whole area of anti-magic. So I can't disguise myself as Bert, and he really wants Bert to be there. So basically, he's bringing Bert and me along, but I'm as Dylan Silvarius, who's sponsoring me,
Yes.
and they're sponsoring me towards the Astrians.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also secretly supposed to be keeping an eye on his son to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid.
All right. So, and then you see followed behind Bert is Dylan, dressed in very fancy garbs, but colored with green and something else.
I don't get to choose the colors. I mean,
I thought
I feel
it was
like
green.
I don't think I ever chose, but green's fine. I'd probably go with like it's primarily black and white, but it has like very noticeable splashes of like green color, like a green cloak and like a neckerchief, perhaps. It's classy. It's nice. It's like I'm not trying to catch your attention, but once I catch it, I'm not letting it go.
Sounds about right for Dylan.
So you see all 3 of them enter into this large coach, and the driver sitting on the driver's seat, and then you see that there is a guard who then sits on what looks to be like a kind of like a bench seat in the back, and he is equipped with a spear and a shield. And unlike the other ones, he looks fairly taller and fairly better built than all the other guards.
Of course he does.
So this is like a bodyguard.
Out of character, is this the same guard that was like the chief guard?
No.
Okay.
That would be funny.
You then see
It would be funny.
the coach make its way around the pathway that goes through the courtyard and then out into the main street of the city. And you can tell that they are going to go towards an exit, like one of the exits of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Do you continue to just stand there and observe, or are you going to...
Okay, so there's the coach driver on the front, the heavily armed bodyguard on the back, and the 3 men just went inside the carriage?
Yes. So Lord Balkovich, Bert, and Dylan all went inside the coach.
Is the city's like alarm has stopped essentially, right? Like
Essentially,
there's
yeah.
no more lockdown.
No.
Okay. As the coach is coming up to me, I would like to. I'm about 200 feet away from the manor, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I would like to step out from just where I was standing along the building. I do have the pox stuff still on, but that's fine. I'd like to actually, while they're getting into the carriage and all that, I'd like to take some water. I assume I have water, and just wipe off any of the makeup that Dylan put on.
Okay.
And then when they start actually coming out toward the exit, I'm going to step out from where I was not quite hiding, but, hanging out, and whistle when the driver's about 30 feet away.
Okay. You do that, and the driver kind of halts, and you hear Lord Balkovich say, "Why did you stop? We're on a tight schedule." Well, my lord, it seems to be some woman has whistled us down.
Lord Balkovich,
Richard,
I'd like to speak
go
with you.
see what she wants. And then Dylan,
Oh no, not Richard.
you feel the something heavy steps off the bench, steps off the coach, making it feel as if you could just almost hear a sigh of relief from the coach, and then you see this large bodyguard just step around the corner.
Can I see Joan from inside the carriage?
Yeah, you can kind of turn and look out the window.
As the guy is approaching me, I'd like to just call out to Lord Balkovich. Lord Balkovich, it's Joan. I think you have my friend, and it seems you have come to an agreement with him.
I put my hand over my mouth, right underneath my nose, just try to in deep contemplation and very afraid about what's gonna happen to Joan.
The large man continues to approach her, and he stops 10 feet, he stops in front of you, and he just kind of looks down at you, and he says, "The Lord would like to know what you are doing."
Well, you see, the Lord has my friend in his carriage, and my friend and I were tasked by the Lord with going to take care of a few issues together. I think it would be best if I could join.
You then hear Lord Belkovich say, is she wearing anything, appropriate for this, for our noble party? Richard.
Joan has never worn anything appropriate for a
He
noble party.
says,
In her
my
Never.
lord,
Poor thing.
my lord, she wears common tunic clothing. Looks like she may be some sort of woods woman.
Yep.
And, he says,
Can I look at the Lord and I say, I swear to you, my Lord, give me 15 minutes and I can make her look like I could make her look like the most noble lady you've seen.
you better. But she's going as she's going
She's
as
my
your
sister.
wench.
Joan,
Oh no!
I was going to wait. My wench, like my
No.
fiance, my how about my sister, like my
Sister.
sister, Joan
Sister.
Silvarius.
Yeah. There is
Your
no
sister.
way.
Yes,
Yeah.
my sister.
We're bodyguard, you know.
My half sister.
Your
On the
advisor.
Silvarius
He
side.
says, Richard, how fair does this lady look? Well, my lord, besides the dirt on her face, I'd say she'd be a fine date to the party. See, there you go, boy. Take her as wife.
I'm not. I'm just like I'm like okay. I gotta apologize so much to Joan.
Joan is just watching Richard very very evenly.
I
No expression.
I
Just
give I get out of the
poor
carriage
Joan.
and I go over to Joan like Joan, we need to get you dressed for the party quick. I'll explain everything as we're getting ready.
After you, Dylan.
Okay, I kind of take her by the hand and I bring her inside and I'm like, okay, while I'm getting your clothes, I need you to go take a quick bath.
Where am I to bathe?
I point her towards the bath.
Where is Dylan pointing? Because
I
we're in a
point towards the
carriage.
bath. Wait, I bring her inside.
Your ears. Your ears.
I bring her inside. I'm not looking
so
at
you're
her. I
going
just point her.
to the manor?
This is really.
I basically like speed walk you into the manor and to like back where I got dressed, and I like point you towards the.
Give her a bonnet.
Point you towards the something like that. I point you towards the bath. Like you wash up real quick. I'll get you some clothes to wear to the ball / party.
Okay. I go into the bath and start disrobing. Are there any servants there?
Yeah, there's always a servant.
I look at the servant, Lord Balkovich. Lord Balkovich has put me in charge of getting this lady ready. She likes to take her baths alone. Please leave. Go get
Dylan
yourself
does it
a
for
place.
me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, they kind of recognize me. They don't mind I recognize you.
They one of the maids will kind of like look at you, Dylan, and will kind of giggle, and will say, it's not every day that we get a friend of Lord Balkovich's who's such a gentleman to his ladies. Come, dear. We shall give you some hot water, quick. And they go off, fetch you some hot water, fill the bath up, give you everything you need to take a bath. And you can take a quick one that takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just rinse off the outermost layer of the grime, you know.
Yeah.
As they're doing it, would I basically like say, okay, you have two options. You can have your dress can either go to your middle of your shins or to your ankles.
Can't show them ankles.
I feel like
The
ankles
Which-
should be the
ankles being
safer choice.
distracting.
I'll trust you on this one, Dylan.
Okay, I'll try to get the one that gives you the most freedom of movement because I know how much you like that.
Well done.
Okay, I get her one that kind of goes with mine, except while mine's mostly black and white with splashes of green, I'm gonna give hers it's mostly green with like splashes of white.
Yay.
I'm gonna be like, do you want a hat or not?
Hat. Hat. I need a hat.
You're gonna be
Coo,
indoors a
coo.
lot.
Hats. You'll be
Do you
fine.
want-
Get a
Do
hat.
you want a hat, Joan?
Your ears. They need to go vanish.
Well, I think my hair is in a fine place for the ears to vanish at the moment.
Well, you're gonna have to wear your hair a little. Well, yeah.
I wasn't saying that. But
Oh.
Okay. I feel like a hat would be better because you don't have the fanciest hairstyle that I can't really do much with at this moment.
I
Yeah,
think
plus
a hat
it's
would be
been
nice.
self-cut.
I cut
Yeah.
it with a dagger yesterday. Or earlier today.
Yeah,
It's been a day.
hat. I'm gonna give you a hat. It's a nice
Hat. Hat. Yeah. Really nice hat.
hat.
Can she
Okay,
keep the hat?
so I mean, I'm keeping everything they'll let me keep. These are my souvenirs. I gotta get something out of this trip. I'm like, okay, Joan, here's the dealio. Forgive me for saying dealio. Okay, so Lord Bert wants me to go with him to the party. I was originally going to disguise myself as Bert, but unfortunately, Lord Balkovich created the house to be magic proof. So that's out the window. So instead, I'm going to be there as Dylan Silvarius, the long lost heir to the long lost house of House Silvarius, here to pledge my loyalty to the Empire by patronage of the Balkovich family. But really, I'm there to keep an eye on Bert's son, make him look good, and make sure he doesn't do you know what to you know who. I'm very sorry for this. Lord Balkovich insisted on it. I was trying to get something else. You will be my fiance, Joan Smithington. Let's just say Smithington. You come from a up and coming family of lumberers from around what's the town like in between the capital and Seaport, like the big town between on the road?
Porton.
Porton. You're a few miles out of Porton is where your family resides. You primarily deal in wood and lumber, though you also originally came from a smith's, which explains your name. So, is that okay? I'm not going to do anything to you.
I'm just kind of glaring at Dylan a little bit. Just a little glare.
I'm trying to look as sorry as I can. Like, I am so sorry. I was going to say, like, sister or my, like...
Why do I come from Porton?
Well, it was just, I thought you seemed like an outdoorsy gal, and I tried to go with, like, the most outdoorsy but still fancy thing I could think of.
Do I need this paper still? And
What
I hold out the slip of paper that you wrote your instructions on.
I gently take the paper from her, and I'm like,
I pull
no.
the paper away from him.
I like, no, you don't need the paper. Can I please have it back, Joan?
I won't read the paper, but maybe I should keep it in case something happens to you.
Okay, that's fair.
I tuck the paper away somewhere.
Okay, are you done with your bath?
Yes.
Okay. I point
we?
out. I pull out like, okay, you're gonna wear this dress, but first you're gonna need to put on these, and I got like the most comfortable corset and other undergarments that I saw, and I turn around and I'm like, it's really important that you put those on. I'm very sorry.
I just look at the corset for a moment. Andrew, would I know what a corset is? Other than, like, philosophically. Like, oh, those humans, and they have these silly things they put on.
I'd say you probably just know them, you just know that there's something that humans wear.
That's all I know. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I put on the hat and, well, first I take care
The
of my
hat
hair.
goes on last.
Put on the hat.
The hat goes on last.
I take care of my hair, still covering my ears, and then I open the door a little to talk to Dylan. Maybe you should send in one of those servants for me.
Yes. I try to flag down one of the servants. I'm like, please, ma'am, could you do me a favor and help my fiance get dressed? She's past the point where she's finished with the things she's shy about doing in front of other people. So could you help her finish the rest of the way? I'd greatly appreciate it.
She nods and she says, "Don't worry, dear. I will take care of her. I will make her look more beautiful than the princess." And she walks into the room with Joan. And while she's helping you put on this outfit, she kind of whispers to you and says, "So, you're that man out there. He's quite the eye candy, isn't he?"
Oh yes, my fiance is absolutely divine.
Once Leon learns about this, he's never gonna let it go.
Freaking Joan. "Oh yes, thine husband, thine soon-to-be husband. Does he not love me so?" Being extremely overdramatic.
I imagine like either that or like she's completely deadpan. Like, yes, he is the love of my life. I could not live without him.
Freaking
Wow.
Yes, he is my lover.
Oh god. My heart.
I love him so.
Oof.
I am crying. This is amazing.
So, when Joan is presented by the maid, this is where, Dylan, you start to notice that Joan is outlandishly beautiful. Like, almost to the point where she looks angelic. Like, her cheekbones are perfect. Her, like, jawline is absolutely perfect. Her eyes are, like, a nice, not, like, extremely wide, but they're very, like, open. And,
Large.
Large, I'd say. And it seems like there isn't a single facial feature on her that is imperfect.
Like her face is like perfectly
It
symmetrical.
is perfectly symmetrical.
And smooth.
I kind of like it. Like I kind of like for a second it looks like I stopped breathing for just like a split second, and I'm like, huh. And I look towards the servant that helped her, and I'm like, thank you, ma'am. With your help, she looks as the most prime example that Soul loves us and wants us to be happy.
Shall we go on,
Giggles.
Dylan?
Yes. First, I make sure I help her into her dress and like get up.
Ooh, heels. Heels are gonna be great for Joan.
I picked out the shoes that would be the most comfortable while still going with the dress, and also ones that are easy to remove in a certain situation. How tall is Joan?
Pretty tall.
Taller than you, probably.
Or taller than Dylan?
I don't know how tall is Dylan. So I was
He's
gonna say Jones.
He's a little over 6 feet.
Oh, okay.
Probably
Then
6'2",
you
6'3".
edge her out by a little. She's about 5'11".
Okay. Honestly, like I said, since it's customary usually for the woman to try to look as shorter as the man possible, so really you don't need to wear that thick of heels. So something like your shoes aren't the shoes I pick out for you aren't like perfectly flat, but they just have maybe like 1 inch,
Like
1
slippers?
inch.
Oh.
No, like a 1 inch heel, like nothing too like
Not flats. Got it.
not flats, but comfortable, easy to remove, not too godish. Dylan knows his stuff about fashion.
Cool.
So, both of you leave the manor, looking hoity-toity, and you see that the coach is actually standing in the courtyard waiting for you, and Belkovich is kind of like resting his face on his knuckles, like seeming like he's like about ready to just leave without you, and then he like hears you leave, and he looks up, and he looks at Joan, and his eyes grow wide. And then he rubs him and he goes, "What the hell?"
Oh, Joan, what beautiful children we shall have.
You're lucky Leon wasn't
feel
there
a
to hear
sharp
that.
pain in your back.
Yes.
What beautiful
I
children
didn't say
we
that
shall
in
have,
here.
Dylan.
You gotta admit, like, if we had children, like, they would be the awesomest, right? Like, literally, like, they
Leon would
shoot.
probably kill Dylan before he ever got close to that.
I
Even
promise
if it
you,
was-
we're not having any children.
Well,
I just give a curt nod to Lord Balkovich with a little smirk.
You sit.
Like, yep.
Both of you sit inside the coach in front of him, and he kind of just like looks you up and down. He's like checking you out, but not in a pervish way, in like a way of like actual awe and shock of like
Judging my worth.
like how in the hell. And then the driver says, "My lord, shall we go?" And he says, "Yes, with haste." And then, ah! And the team of 6 horses pull the coach, and you start racing outside of the city.
Dun, 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 dun.
Leon,
You guys can keep talking. I have to go get a charger for my computer.
you have been walking with your dear friend Davion. Both of you are silent the whole entire trip. You spent a few hours traveling, and you see that you can see the walls of Seaport go into your vision. And you also see that off to your left, way off in the distance, there is a humanoid figure who well, no. You would probably see that you hear the sound of hooves, like horses' hooves, come charging towards the city, but they're from behind you. And when you and Davion look, you see there's a team of 2 horses pulling a very colorful looking coach going towards the city. Davion like stares at it and then just kind of like looks back at the city and keeps walking towards it.
He keeps walking?
He keeps walking.
Okay. Leon is going to follow him, obviously, a little bit out of it from, the whole fiasco with that one dude whose name escapes me.
Marticus.
Yes, him.
So the coach eventually catches up with you, but doesn't seem to deliberately approach you. And it goes past you for about 60 feet, and then you hear the driver go, "Whoa, whoa!" And the coach stops. And at this point, hearing this, Davion will stop and looks at the driver.
Yeah, Leon is a little bit on edge after that, and just like stops a little bit behind Davion.
So the coach kind of, when it slows down, it curves. They turn, so then they stop, like they block the path that you were going to take. And you see in large, colorful letters,
I'm back. Did I miss anything?
Hello.
You see
Well, the coach is there.
Melitotus's
Mm-hmm.
magical wares and wonders. And
Yep.
when you look at this, you feel like, this kind of seems familiar. And you then see that the driver swings his legs around to the side of the driver's seat and pushes himself off, and he lands with a quite an elegance, like the elegance of a cat. And when he looks at you, your brain start to automatically rack around into your memories, and you feel as if you've seen this person before, very recently. And the individual says, "Excuse me, gentlemen. I see both of you are heading towards Seaport, and well, I myself was going to go there to sell some of my wares. Now, one of you look quite familiar. Are either one of you named Leon?" And Davion...
Leon will
Oh, go ahead.
He'll wait. No, he'll wait.
Davion doesn't do
I'll wait.
anything.
Oh.
He just kind of stares at him.
Leon raises his hand. It's just yeah, it's me, but without saying anything.
Davion looks at you, and then he rolls his eyes oh no. And the man
Wait, did he not
says,
know Leon's name?
And then he just gives him the what look. There's no point. He already knows my name, so and it's my fake name,
says,
so it's good.
"Whoa, well, it's quite the coincidence that I meet you out here. Well, actually, it's kind of strange, because I figured you would have been in the city. Anyways,
Leon shrugs.
I had been looking for Dylan. I've heard some rumors that he was somewhere around in Seaport, and then this whole fiasco of the whole city being locked down because of him had happened. And I had already found your friend, Mason, I believe was his name. He's freed from his shackles. I thought last time I knew that he was with you, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Anyways, what I am wondering is, do you know where Dylan is?"
No. Where's Mason?
Your tongue.
Yeah. He can still speak. It's just he can't say R's, L's, or D's.
R's, L's, and what?
D's.
D's. Huh, that makes sense.
D's. Yeah.
But would he still be able to tell something's wrong with your tongue by just talking?
Yeah, but honestly, he shouldn't remember that.
No.
How well
I
I
don't know.
speak.
Yeah. I feel like you have to have your tongue to say ends. Because your tongue...
No, wait.
Because your tongue...
No. No.
Because when I say no, the tip of my tongue presses up against the roof of my mouth.
The back of my tongue does it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, if I feel without a tongue,
the
if I
back
said...
of my
trying to
tongue
say
does.
no with my tongue not touching anything. Yeah. This kind of sounds like I'm saying
Groaning.
Okay, well, he still
pain.
has the back of his tongue. He didn't bite the whole thing
what's another
off.
way
He
to
bit it
say
off
no?
midway. So,
Elves, don't you know elves regrow their tongues in a matter of days?
we're like geckos.
Like geckos.
That sounds cool.
Tongues.
Yeah.
if it only worked that way.
Oh, I tried.
You could just show him your tongue. Maybe he has a cool magic
No,
item.
I
that
don't really
fix it.
care.
So
I'm not gonna show him.
he
He's gonna ask
says,
questions.
He goes, "Oh, well, Mason. I left him about a few miles north from here. I figured that since he was possibly going to be a wanted man, he wasn't going to want to go back to Seaport. So, if you wish, I can take him to. Yeah, I can take you to him."
Leon just shakes his head. He'll find his own way. He knows that.
Davion will start to walk. Instead of going like towards the wall, you see that he starts to head west.
Towards the gate?
Towards the gate. And the man just kind of like watches him walk off and then goes back to you. And he says, now, Leon, I don't know if you remember me, but we have met before.
Leon like nods his head, like narrowing his eyes at him a little bit.
Yes, I apologize for snooping around on you. I just had a lot of questions, and I'd found some answers. But none of that matters now. We need to find Dylan.
Leon is going to quickly write down there was going to be a party.
Party. Do you mean...
A noble party.
Ah, yes. That party. And you think he's going?
Possibility.
Did he say human?
What?
Did he say... Never mind. I thought I heard him say something about human.
I feel like I did hear him say something like human now that I think about it. Like a human party or something?
Yeah, that's not like what he was going to say. But...
Yeah,
Oh.
just like...
So he's going.
Anyway.
Possibility. So he like shrugs.
Possibility. And he nods and he says, "Well, would you?" He says, "No, I'm going to assume that you are also wanted as well. So, I would think it would be best for you to stay outside of the city. But now that I see that it seems to be that Dylan won't be in the city anymore, how would you like a ride? Looks like we're going to have to go to that party. We might have to crash that party."
Yes.
And he goes, "Man, now I sort of feel bad for leaving Mason out here alone." He says, I suppose we can go get him, and then we'll be on our way to the party. We may be a few hours behind.
Leon like puts up a hand and then starts writing down that he needs to talk with Davion, with not Davion but his friend for a little bit. He needs to catch up on something.
He'll nod and he'll say, "All right, just don't go anywhere and don't go any closer to the city. I will go back and fetch Mason. I'll be back within the hour."
He gives him like the okay symbol and then goes.
So he hops onto his wagon and goes, "Yeah!" And then they'll go off back to the north.
Mm.
Davion is still walking, by the way, kind of like walking like a giant. Just
Yeah, Leon is going to just like just hang on. Yeah, he can say that. Hang on.
You could just like
Stop.
go,
Stop.
you should
Stop.
put
Stop
up your
words.
hands like,
Or like
Just,
clap.
like, do-
Yeah, clap him.
or just like hold them up like you would like try to stop a animal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
you'd have to run in
Or
front
just
of him.
Yeah, just like run in front of
Well,
him.
you didn't say Davion was like running, so I don't feel like it'd take much to catch
It
up.
wouldn't. Yeah, just like jog. Plus, I'm a fast person since I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
45
Yeah.
feet of movement.
So you run in front of him and you hold out your arms, and he stops, and he just like looks at you
It's just
with his like blank expressionless face.
it's just like write down. I have questions.
He just grunts and stares at you.
how just like he like starts writing down his questions, like how what is the bet? No, he doesn't wouldn't know that, but
You could ask, how did he find you?
yeah, how did you find me, and what did you say to that one guy? Because he's also questioning about that and likes to know about that. Yeah.
He pulls out his little journal and writes. When he shows it to you, it says that he didn't find you. He stumbled upon you, and he then shows you the picture of a quickly drawn sketch of the man, but still very, very well detailed, of the man looking scared upon Davion. And he says, and there seems to be writing.
Like a word bubble, like a comic?
No, like writing, like kind of just like on like a corner of the page.
Okay.
And it says, this will be the last feeling that you will ever have.
Oh.
Fear.
Ooh.
And then
It's just like
slowly just kind of brings the book to his side. He grunts again.
It's just like he quickly writes down, remind me not to get on your bad side.
I need to get Davion to be the illustrator for my next book.
Commission him. Actually,
Yeah,
I think he would do it. I don't think he would even do it for money, to be honest, because he likes to draw, apparently. But
I feel like I had to give him something.
Speaking of commission, Leon wants him to draw something. And then Leon will give him a description about a woman with long hair put into 2 separate braids, and a child who is a girl who looks a lot like her, but with darker hair, much darker hair, like black hair. And then another child, a boy this time, who is a little bit shorter, but not by too much. And this one has hair similar to the mother. And the last one doesn't look like the mother or the father, but it still looks just as happy.
You see that he rips off the pages of all the descriptions, and he writes in his book, and he asks in his writing, like, do you want a very detailed picture? Do you want a quick sketch? When do you want this picture?
Give it to me the next time we meet.
He'll nod. Actually, no, he won't nod. He will write, he'll say, we may never meet again, because I'm trying to find my way home.
That makes 2 of us. Holy cow. I'm gonna cry.
And he says, and my home is not from this land.
Oh.
He's from another island.
Yeah. It's just like Leon is
continent.
like looks up to him, like a little bit surprised, obviously. And just like he writes down a sorry because he knows a possible reason as to why. And just do you know of any way to forgive someone for what they've done to you?
When you say this, Davion looks down at the ground, and you see that all of like the hair on his neck and on his arms stiffen up slowly, and you can see in his eyes the veins in his eyes grow brighter, like more blood, and his eyes become more bloodshot, and it looks like more veins come out and like crawl and slither across his eyes as he stares at the ground, and his jaws clench, revealing like making his neck slowly start to like bulge, and
Well,
he then exhales through his nose. And he writes something. And he says...
at least we know he's a barbarian.
And he says, the only thing... He says, forgiveness is... Forgiveness is the best answer to anything. Trust me. I did not have the luxury of forgiveness, and it resulted in me damaging myself more than anything could ever have. Forgiveness is for self-preservation. Preserve yourself, Leon.
My heart. Leon just like nods slowly. Or just like takes a deep breath himself to like keep himself from crying, because this is just too much for him in an entire day. It just... Then he writes down, the picture I'm asking from you is of my family. They meant a lot to me. I asked to put as much detail as my heart would put into it.
Do you give him the details of their elven features, like their ears?
He'll...
I mean,
You know what? I am really tired right now. I didn't need to think of this, but I am. And you know what? Yes. The ears are going in, because he wants to be able to remember them.
oh, so you'll tell Davion, but you won't tell Dylan. Okay. I understand.
Yeah, Davion doesn't react any different.
She's just working through the D's. You're next.
That's funny. Mason's got a long way to wait.
Davion then just like stares at you as if he's waiting for another question.
Leon won't ask anything else. He'll just write down a quick thank you and to stay safe, and that he hopes that he'll find his home soon.
Davion will nod, and you see that he takes his index finger and his middle finger and like presses them together, and he pokes his heart, like where his heart is, and then he pokes yours, and then he takes his left hand, puts it on the back of yours, and like touches your forehead to his.
Oh.
And then you just see he then let goes and starts walking, like in an instant, just starts walking back to the gate.
Yeah, Leon is gonna look down at the picture and he's gonna cry and he's just gonna go to where the wagon went.
No
This
matter
hurts.
no matter how hard you try, he'll never be as much of a bro as Davion is.
No, you'll never be as much of a bro as Davion.
Oh, just wait.
I don't know what to take from that, but okay.
Dylan.
Yes.
So actually, at this point, there's going to be a fairly huge jump, as this journey you and Joan are going to take is going to take you several days. And
Several days?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, that's a full week.
Why would we get all dressed up for the date? I mean, I guess I could always use prestidigitation to clean our clothes, but still.
Finding you is gonna be a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So Dylan,
Yeah.
you get to there. So the road that you're on is like the main trade road, but eventually, the coach is taking down a path that leads into the middle of a wooded area, and the path eventually turns from a path that looks to be tilled and well kept to just a oh goodness, the word escapes my mind. Oh my god, it's not a two trail. Damn. It's essentially a trail that is made from like a vehicle going through the same path over and over again, and there's like just no.
So it's like a dirt path.
Basically, I forgot what this. There's an actual word for it, but I forgot what it's called.
I feel like I've heard this word, but I can't think of it.
I can't think of it either. Either way, it doesn't look like there's a well-kept road, or path, and then there is a fairly large clearing that seems to come out of nowhere, and you see this beautiful wood oak mansion that is 3 stories tall. There's a courtyard with a fountain, where it essentially looks like there is just a vase with 3 spouts that are spouting out a clear water. You get to this place around like early evening, so the sun is still up. But within the next hour or so, it will turn. It'll eventually kind of start sinking into the forest, into the tree line. And you see that there are 2 guards stationed outside the front doors, and there are hedges around the vase. Beautiful flowers planted everywhere. It looks like a little paradise. You also feel that while you're here, there's this strange feeling that you get. The connection that you constantly have within you to the arcane. It's like it's being pulled from you, but not like away from you. Kind of think of it as like when you take like a ball of slime and you pinch it and you lift upwards, you're stretching it, but you're also pulling all of it until eventually it like you lift the whole ball of slime. It's the same exact way, except it's not enough force to like move you anywhere.
Okay.
And just as you're going to enter, we're going to take an intermission because Mother Nature is a bitch and wants to come out of nowhere.
So I have a question. Are we allowed to... Did the Lord say if we're allowed to bring weapons onto the...
Oh no.
So, as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by myself, the coach is going through this courtyard, and you see that there already are like 5 different, there are 4 other coaches, so you are the 5th one. And,
How many major noble families are there in this country?
there are the Greens,
Balkoviches,
there
of
is
course.
the Balkoviches, there's the one of Porton, and then there's the royal family.
So 4?
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's 5 carriages.
There, including you, there's 5.
So the other 3 are the Greens, the Portons, the royal family, and
Maybe the royal family. The royal family sounds like they need 2 carriages. So maybe that's the case.
Perhaps they're having entertainment come by.
I am the entertainment.
Oof.
So, you park in front of the entrance, and a man with blonde hair that is pulled back into a ponytail and wears fancy house servant garbs comes up, opens the door, and says, "Welcome back, my lord. It has been far too long since you have last visited us." And he says, Lord Balkovich, as he steps out, says, "Well, be quiet. It's been 1 year." As it has, my lord.
Rude.
Dylan doesn't look at like Lord Balkovich or like his son, but he kind of like his eyes kind of like squint for a second, and then he opens them back up.
Bert will step out. The servant will say, "Why, Lord Bert, I'm glad to see that you are here. Last time I heard you were bedridden." And he doesn't say anything. He follows his father towards the front door.
I have a question. Can I get a vibe about like Bert, like if he's still planning on doing his crazy, stupid things?
You would get a sense that he's been thinking a lot.
Who seems very like pensive.
Yeah.
Does he seem so like he seems contemplative?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like okay. Well, that's still not great. I mean, it's better than like him being like full on like ready to straight up murder someone. But still, we still need to keep his eye on him. I whisper into Joan's ears, I just say, just follow my lead. And I step out of the carriage after the Lord and his son do.
Joan stands and reaches down for Dylan's hand.
Hello, sire. I don't believe we have met.
My name is Dylan Silvarius. My betrothed, Joan Smithington. It's nice to meet you.
Smithington, Silverian. I've never heard of a house name such as that.
It is a very old and small house. My house is very old and forgotten. Hers is new and upcoming. Very new, in fact. I did not catch your name.
You know what they say, opposites attract?
Yes.
I suppose.
I reach out to shake his hand, and I'm like, I don't believe I caught your names, my good sir.
He doesn't look down at your hand. He says, "My name is, Vinagus. Vinagus Harpert.
That's unfortunate.
At your
I don't
service."
say that in character. Well, it is a pleasure to meet you, Venegas. Hopefully, we will be able to talk before the festivities are over. Thank you. And
Most likely not, my sire. I am the housekeeper, and I have much to do.
I understand. And good day, Venegas. And I gently lead Joan towards the house behind, keeping a healthy distance behind Lord Burt, but not too far.
Mm-hmm. So you go up to like the front porch of this mansion, and the two guards open up the front door. And when you walk in, you see this fairly large welcoming hall with a foyer that has a grand stairway that leads up to it. There's a set of doors to the left and to your right, and then you can kind of see there is one guard stationed at each of the doors on the floor you're on, and then on top of the foyer, there's a door to the left side of the balcony and the right. And you see that there are two servants.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would Lord Balkovich tell us whether or not weapons are allowed at the party, like as a like whether formal, ceremonial, or something?
I
like
sent
if
you
you're
a
allowed
message through Discord.
The last message I got was from you was on the 20th of June.
I sent it in the general chat.
Okay, looking for it.
9:43.
9:43. Okay, thank you.
It was right before Morgan sent a link.
Okay, went too far. Oh, okay. Okay, so no weapons. Would I be able to tell if, like, Bert was, like, secretly carrying a weapon on him?
No.
Crap. Well, I could be able to tell, like, whatever he's carrying on him, it's probably not, if he has anything on him, it's probably not a big weapon. Like, at most, it's probably a dagger.
Correct.
Or a short sword. Okay.
Dylan, you worry too much.
So, the further details is you see that on the walls there are portraits of what look to be possibly family members of the Balkoviches. You also see there are potted plants on stands underneath these portraits of possibly native flowers of a multitude of different colors. And the servants that I had mentioned before, all of them approach and take any robes, any hoods that you have on your person, any accessories that are outside accessories, so hats as well, and asks if they may take them.
Would my cape be part of that?
Yes.
Okay, but it's a nice cape. I feel like it really brings my outfit together. Okay, if they want my cape, I'd probably give them my cape. But I would...
So they take, Balkovich takes off his hood and cape, and so does Bert. And the one of the maids say that everyone else is in the entertainment hall awaiting your arrival. And Lord Belkovich, without saying anything, approaches. He walks behind the set of the grand staircase that goes up to the foyer, and so does Bert.
I follow behind them, a safe distance.
So you see that behind the grand staircase, there is a set of double doors, and you can hear coming from inside of it music. And there are two guards that are waited there, and they open the doors, and you see there's this grand hall that is before you. Probably about the length of the mansion, so like maybe like 50 feet long, and about like 25 feet in width. And around the walls, so on the walls there are these large windows that look out to the backyard, in which you see a large extravagant garden. And the sunlight goes down, and there are massive drapes that are tied and bundled off to the side of the window so the sunlight can go through. And all around the walls are chairs for people to sit in. And you see that there is some people you recognize immediately. You see the Greens, Mr. Green, and Bethany Green, and Mrs. Green. They all are sitting at some chairs at a corner. You see that on the opposite side of them is looks to be a fairly young man, very fair, pale skin, long raven black hair. He wears all black clothing and kind of has sort of a gothic look to him. And he stares at the center, which is there is a small group of musicians playing on violin. A couple are playing violins. One of them is playing a cello, and as they are playing their music, there is King Dastrius dancing with said to be the fairest maiden in all the land, Princess Zara. And when Lord Belkovich and Bert enter, they continue to dance. And Belkovich just kind of stares at this. Everyone else looks at Lord Belkovich, but the king and his princess and his daughter keep dancing.
Does the king seem to have... Okay, so it's like the Greens, father, mother, daughter. Then there's one guy who's probably the noble lord from Porton by himself, and then there's the king and his daughter, and that's it?
Yes.
And the musicians. Do I recognize the musicians?
I do recommend that we do not say anything to the about Joan, because he might know who all his Smiths are and whatnot. So
you're doing thumbs up like they're gonna see it.
Shut up.
So, the musicians, you would know them. You would probably know them as a very high-end band of musicians. They are extremely expensive, and They started out as like a ragtag team of street performers, but eventually had the king, whilst on one of his trips through the city from a festival, had seen their performance and had hired them to play at one of his extravagant balls. And ever since then, they've been rolling in coin. They call themselves the Golden Threads.
Pretentious. Very snooty. I quietly will whisper in Joan's ear, letting her know, because obviously she knows who the Greens are, but let her know who. Would I know the name of the Lord from Porton by studying in the academy and learning about noble whatnot?
Anyone would really know who the Lord of Porton is. That is. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. How did you turn off? You were plugged in. Sometimes I hate being really bad at remembering names. Yes, I even forget the names that I make up. Leave me alone.
That's fair. I do too.
I mean,
You told me the Lord's name. That's fine.
is his name Poor? Is it Poor?
Jeez. I think the town's poor, not him.
I know, but it's called Porton. I assumed it was like Poor
I mean,
And a
something.
town of poor people.
I mean, Lord Belkovich doesn't have Seaport in his name.
That would be pretty cool, though.
Right, but I don't know. Maybe is he related to the what was the second big family? Not the Silvarises and the Astrians, the other one.
Distrians.
Distrians? Is that who he is?
I think the Distrians died off, didn't they?
I thought they were like absorbed into the Astrians.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think he's in here.
Because they didn't like it wasn't like the Astrians and Silvarises that those two did not get along, but I'm pretty sure I already forgot their name.
Oh, sorry. There also would have been a couple of other people too.
Okay.
There would have been a 6'8", very muscular man with long, blonde hair that kind of almost looks like he's almost more like a mane more than sleeked back hair. He wears sort of more like a type of garb that like a very high officer would wear to a type of party. Probably wearing some emblems to show his rank. There would also be I don't know. I think that would be it. He would probably
Okay,
be the
so-
other one that would be added on there.
So is the one from Porton his last name Distrian?
No. His
Dang it.
name is Lord Adam Kelvin.
Adam
Kelvin.
Kelvin. So Lord Kelvin.
Yeah.
Alright, so as Dylan leans over and tells me that, Joan will giggle a little. And then lean over and whisper into Dylan's ear, maybe I shouldn't be from Porton if he's here. After all, I'm quite attractive. Maybe I don't need to be a noble.
I never said you were noble. I just said you came from a
Okay.
family of lumberers, of wealthy lumberers. But yes, we'll say you're farther from Porton. How about over by
How
what's
about
a
closer to
place
Seaport?
somewhere closer to Seaport? How about you're closer to, let's see, on the other side of the Great River of Assyrian, so about maybe right by the chromatic pond
I'll
where
trust you to
where the
introduce
mountains
me.
get where the mountains are thinner.
I'll trust you to introduce me.
Okay. Okay, we'll do.
So, the song finishes and everyone claps as the king bows to his daughter, and she curtsies. And he then looks over at you four, and I don't know if I've given the description of the king before, but the king is a man who looks extremely fair to the point where it's almost like he has a lot more feminine features than masculine, and his hair is a snow white and is extremely long. His eyes are a brilliant azul blue, and he is probably about 5'9", and his daughter is 5'1" and is same thing, very fair skin, looks extremely feminine and very, very beautiful, and but her hair is more of like a it's like a extremely dark purple, like to the point where it looks black, but if the light shines just right, you see the purple come out from it. And
these are not elves, correct?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they have like some blood in there somewhere.
You
Possibly.
the king, he himself wears he wears like a very fine made white tunic with some silver necklaces with many jewels, and and his daughter wears a dress that goes just above the top of her feet, so just under the ankles, and they are her clothing is more of like a gray than of a white like her father's, but her father has hints of gray in his attire. And when he sees you four standing at the entrance, he smiles and he says, "Well, Lord Belkovich, you're late. Right on time." And Belkovich says, Yes. Okay. Now that you have danced, Your Majesty. But I don't know about you, but I'm extremely hungry. The bread and cheese on the way here isn't as good as the cooking of your finest chefs.
Dylan just looks confused, like, wait, he had food and he did not share with us?
He would have fed you.
I'm kidding. Yeah, probably.
And the king will look around and say, "Well, I think that everyone else is tired of sitting and waiting for you to show up. Let us all go into the dining hall. But, oh, what am I doing? I'm your guest. You, please, show us to the dining hall." And you could tell that the king is kind of saying this in not like a snarky attitude, but in an attitude where he's not impressed for the tardiness of Lord Belkovich.
I just got a really interesting thought. What if Callan's here, but like in shackles?
Why would Callan be here?
No.
He's just in
like,
shackles making food.
That'd be so weird.
Huh.
That'd be like getting Osama bin Laden to like do your shrubs.
I don't know about that.
I'm exaggerating.
I know.
So Lord Belkovich curtsies, and he tells everyone to follow him, in which he leaves the room and goes to the door if you were to walk in to the main hall, it would be the one to the left. And when you walk in, you see that there is what looks to be a large. You see that there is a dining hall with a large table big enough to fit 12 people at most. But there are there are going to be a few empty chairs. And Lord Belkovich sits at the one. He sits at one end, and the king sits at the other. The king has his daughter to his left, and an empty chair to his right. And Lord Belkovich also has his son to his left, and an empty chair to his right. And all the other tables, I believe, would get filled. So there's.
Does anybody seem interested in me and Joan at all? Like they're not curious at all about who we are?
You might get some eyes, but it doesn't seem like anyone speaks out quite yet.
Okay. So there's like various tables in the dining hall. It's not like one big table.
No, it's one big table.
Okay. I would sit... I guess I would try to sit with Joan towards the middle of the table.
All right. Lord Green and his family will sit right across from you.
Oh, that's nice. I would also, before going to the table, I would pull out the chair to let Joan sit down, and like the gentleman I am.
Joan sits and waits.
I gently push her in, and I sit down right next to her.
As you both get comfortable in your seats, you then notice that Lord Green stares at both of you with eyes squinted.
Joan smiles and waves at the Lord.
And Bethany and her mother are sitting very ladylike, very good posture. And
oh God, poor Joan.
Looking forward, and neither of them seem to show any signs that they recognize you. But Lord Green, he just kind of is resting up against the arm rest and just staring at Dylan. And just before any of you could get some words in, there's a couple of servants come out with wine bottles, and there are wine glasses, plates, and silverware, and napkins in front of you. And the servants pour everyone a glass, including Bert and Princess Zara, and Bethany. And the room is sort of silent from while this is happening. But once when the wine, everyone gets their wine, it is then you see the man who has the head that's kind of like a mane. He goes, "Well, I don't know if it's just me, but the silence is starting to creep me out." And you then hear that King Dastrius, he chuckles. And when he does this, Lord Balkovich kind of mimics, follows after him and chuckles. And Lord Adam is just kind of sitting there staring, and Lord Green has a dead stare right on Dylan. And King Dastrius says, I agree with you. I agree with you, Major. The silence is a little unsettling. especially after that wonderful performance by the Golden Strings. I guess I shall continue to break the silence. How is everyone's trip here? And everyone, not at once, but will say that it was fine. And he says, should we just get... should we get down to business, or... And Lord Green then speaks up, and he says, "Pardon my intrusion, Lord.
I missed him.
But, shouldn't Lord Balkovich introduce us to the new, partners of his?" And this is where King Dastrius, looks over at you two, and, he says, "Oh, goodness me, I'm trying to rush this out so quickly that my eyes had failed to perceive that there were strangers among us. Please, Lord Balkovich, introduce us to your friends here." And Lord Balkovich will say, "This is Dylan Silvarius and his fiancée, Jones Smitherton."
Smitherton is.
Yep.
And you guys feel all the attention in the room is on you two.
Oh boy.
Well, Dylan's used to it. I'm not sure about Joan. Probably not.
Oh no, poor Joan.
I put a light hand on Joan's back, reassurance, and I give everybody a very polite and friendly smile.
Joan smiles a little too.
Are they waiting for us to say something?
Yes.
What are
Good
news, you're the
what
speaker.
to say? Yes. I am. Yes, I'm. First of all, I would like to say I'm simply happy, ecstatic to be here with my fiance. I was recently had discovered I come from a very long forgotten noble house of the Silvariuses, and realizing they had quite a tumultuous history before fading into obscurity, I've come to, while trying to reclaim some form of notoriety, I also have come to pledge allegiance to the Astrian noble families as a sign of good faith. I was found and, of course, patroned by Lord Balkovich's son, the young Lord Bert, and without his help, I would not be here today with my wife, future wife.
The king looks over at Bert and says, "Well, Lord Wood, I honestly am surprised by this. Now, Dylan, you say that you are Silvarian, yes?"
Yes, I am Silvarius through my mother's family.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that name in a very, very long time.
Yes. I also, before learning of his family, I did also go by a pen name of Dylan Mordecai. I've written a few novels while studying at the Bard's College. You might have heard of one. It had a very limited run. The Fools in the Realm of Shadows.
No, I can't say I've ever heard of it before. And then you hear, "You're Dylan Mordecai?"
Dear God, I almost cried.
And you see the large man, one of his large hands, it's big enough to look like it could hold a I'd say like a muskmelon in his hand, almost like a large peach. And he says, "You're Dylan Mordecai."
Yes, sir. Did I hear the king say his name earlier?
Yes. Well, you heard the king call him Major.
Major.
That's it.
Okay. Yes.
Major Tom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Major. I don't believe I've caught your name, my good sir.
He says, "Well, I wouldn't expect a man of your professional artistry to pay attention to me, but I am Major Strongheart. I am the general of the military of Astria."
Have I heard of this name before?
Oh,
Strongheart?
yes. This is like the second in command of the guards, of the soldier, of the army, the naval force, the people at the only thing that he does not control when it comes to the military is the Green Gates.
Okay. So his full title is Major Strong.
It's
Is it
General Major Strongheart.
Is his first name Major?
Yes.
I say, well, General. It goes not surprise that someone my background, of course, would hear your name. I just have never seen you in person. It's a pleasure to meet you, General Strongheart.
No.
I hear very good.
No, my boy, it is a pleasure to meet you. You're my favorite author. Well,
Wow.
upcoming author, I should say. I don't read much, but for some odd reason, the way you put words together just speak to my eyes. Damn, I wish I would have brought my copy.
If you would like, I could try to mail you. I could talk to my publisher and send you a mailed copy.
Would you?
If you just let me know your address, I would be more than certain to do that.
How about you just tell one of the guards to send it to me when next time you're in the capital?
I will certainly do that, General.
And then you hear a ding, 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 like silverware clinking against glass. The king says,
I have a fan.
Says, well, I suppose you learn something new every day about your, I suppose you learn something new every day. Now, back to more important matters. About the reports. Like usual, we shall start from my left. So, Lord Adam, please tell me of the report of this last year's. You then see that he not standing up or moving. He says, "From the past year, we've seen a increase in our assets. We've gotten more money than we ever have. Not to mention the health care of the workers are as better as they've ever been. And I had heard recent problems about some bandits called the Caravan Riders. What are you doing with them?" "I have sent help to a specific group in the capital. You may know them. The Adventurers League." "Ah, yes. I've heard they do very, very good work. Now, the other issue, the one about that nasty plague, how are you dealing with that?" "Well, from what my resources are, we've been able to contain it into a controlled area, but it still runs rampant. And at this point, Lord Green kind of looks over and he goes, "Plague? What in the hell do you mean by plague?" And Strongheart says, "Lord Green, watch your tongue around with the king." "Alright, I'm sorry. What in the blazing hell's going on with this plague?"
Oh, I never changed.
My
And the
favorite.
king smiles and he says, "Well, Lord Adam, why don't you tell the rest, everyone else, about this plague?" This plague had just came up a few months ago when the spring had ended. This plague would, when it affected people, it would turn their skin gray and their veins black. And they
Oh,
would
no.
slowly
God.
turn into something unspeakable.
Did he say where it was
Die.
contained to?
And then they would just awake. The problem is, though, every time someone new gets infected, they seem to be quicker at transforming. The quickest we've ever had someone transform is a matter of minutes. They would turn into shambling undeads. And Lord Green says, "And you said that you have contained it. We've created a barrier so that none of them can stumble across any of the other people. And do you have any idea if you can catch any symptoms in anyone else who might have had it?" "We have a basic idea, but we're not 100% sure quite yet." He says, "Well, I'll tell you one thing. Lord Calvin. If any of my workers that you had sent me is infected with this damn plague, it's your ass." And the king will say, "I'm sure that your workers are perfectly fine, Lord Green. I mean, in fact, if this would have been the case, then wouldn't you have seen something by now?" And Lord Green just kind of gives Lord Kelvin a dirty look, and Kelvin just kind of smirks. And then Lord Green's attention goes back to Dylan, and he just stares at him.
Why do all these noble lords want to fuck me? Am I that desirable?
No,
The
this
older
is
male.
more of like a... This
They're
is
judging
not
you.
desirable. This is like, yeah.
Like, is he upset with me, or is he just like kind of eyeing me up? Like
He's like
Like,
eyeing
what are
you
you
up,
doing
like
here?
he's like... I wouldn't say that he's curious, but he's curious. Like, he's looking at you like, what the fuck are you up to?
I mean, it's
'Cause-
not like he has a reason to dislike me. Me and
Because
my
the last
friends.
time he saw you,
Oh, he knows that you're here for something.
yeah,
Oh
it
right.
had to do with you
Yeah.
solving the problem with his wife and all this other stuff. So he knows you're here on Adventures League business, and
Or at least presumes.
this is the
He's
first.
a smarty. He's a smarty.
Okay, well, I'll try to talk to him to get a chance to chat after food.
Yeah.
All right, and the king will say, "All right, Lord Calvin, is there anything else you would like to put in the spotlight?" He says, "No, that is all I have for my report. That is all I have to say of the highlights of my report. All right, I have all your documentation. I shall have some of my bookkeepers look it over. All right, next is you, Lord Green." And he then clears his throat, sits up straight. He says, "I'd have to say that that our profits has gone up a little bit. Not as much as I had promised last year, but they've gone up. But I'm going to say that by next year, you'll see profits go up so much that it's gonna knock the socks out of your boots.
Lord Green's the best. I'll just say it now.
You then see that Mrs. Green kind of elbows him, and he just kind of rubs his arm, and looks back at the king and says, "I've been working on a brand new species produce. It's a fruit. A fruit that when you bite into it, changes different flavors into other fruits.
We've had that. It's great.
Yes,
And right now I had sent a shipment out as an experimentation to see if anybody would catch hold of it. So far, my earliest reports, we're making some decent coin, but not as much as I'd like. But I have another project in the works, though." And the king's eyebrows rise up, and he says, "Oh, well, do tell." "This project of mine is, well, something my family has been trying to do for years. Not sure if any of you are familiar with this kind of legend, but there's a legend that a long time ago, one of our ancestors had stumbled across a tree, an oak tree. And this oak tree looked like, from just looking at it, was just like any other one. This person, there were two people. One of them wanted to take a rest on it because he was tired. The other one wanted to chop it down for some firewood. But the one man who was tired didn't want to hurt it because he knew that this was someone else's home. But the other man, he wanted to chop it down. So, they both came to an agreement. The man would take his rest, he would leave, and the other guy would chop it down. After he found if there were no animals in it. So the man took his rest. Problem was the man who was going to chop it down went and swung at the damn tree anyways. When the man who was sleeping woke up from hearing the man's cries, that was gone. Nothing but his axe on the ground. But then, when the man looked up to see if his friend was hanging somewhere in the tree limbs, he saw an acorn that looked different. An acorn made of gold. He climbed up that tree and he picked that acorn. And then, well, no one really knows what kind of happened after that. Some say that acorn was just pure gold and that's it. Some say that acorn gives you one wish that you can have in life. Some other people tell the tale that acorn, when you put it in the ground, will make an oak tree completely made of gold. I was looking to see if I could possibly make this legend truth. And I think I've almost got it. Now, whether this will give us any profit, it won't. It'll make us more gold, but the problem is it's going to make the economy inflate. It's going to make our coin a little bit worthless. But it's just a little project of mine that I've been holding together, and I figured you would be interested in it, Your Highness. And the king nods.
I like how Lord Green secretly said it was just secretly very good, like subtly very good at economics.
And he says, "All right, is there anything else? Besides the sudden arrival of your wife? Tell me, you say that wasn't she dead?" And Green says, "Yeah, about that." She wasn't dead, Your Highness. I kind of held this as a secret because I felt it was sort of embarrassing, but she was bedridden. And I was a little ashamed. Well, I wasn't really ashamed, I was terrified. Thought that if everyone thought that she was dead, they wouldn't feel, I don't know, as much as pity of me as I had someone suffering. You'd have less pity of me and of her because she was dead and she was in peace. But then one day she just sprung right out of that damn bed like a hibernating rabbit. Comes straight from his hole from the winter. And now she's as young and as beautiful as ever. And
Aww.
she looks at him and smiles. And the king goes,
He's so cute.
I see. Well, I do kind of grow a little concerned that you would hold something like this from me. Although I will let it slide since after all, now that the truth is out, it has brought something good out of it. I'm glad that your wife was not dead all along, but the next time you hold something like this, there will be major consequences. And then then all of a sudden you hear, yeah, and I don't go easy. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, Major.
That's
What?
my number one fan.
What? None of you thought that was funny. He said, Major. Never mind.
I lightly chuckle.
Joan laughs a little too.
All right. Next is you, Lord Valkovich. What is your report? Well, the past year, as you know, we had tried to transport that magical item, the elven one that was found towards the swamp, the sinking forest. No matter what we had done, we could not find the ship, so we are going to. I'm going to request that if it is possible, for the Council of Sages to send a team of their own people to go down into the ocean and try to see if it is sunken somewhere. I will definitely have the request written down, and then he snaps his fingers, and one of the servants who's kind of been sitting back, with her arms behind her back, comes up and starts writing something on a piece of parchment, and then Lord Valkovich continues. Trading is not declined at all, and our research about the clouds and about the environment of the coasts is no new discoveries have really been made to needed to be mentioned. Other than that, I'd have to say this past year has been fairly uneventful.
Lies.
I mean, to be fair, at least Lord Green's kind of lying too.
I know, but I actually like Lord Green. He can confess.
It's okay when he does it.
It's okay when he doesn't.
And the king goes, okay. Well, that is all. I suppose now it is my turn. Me and my advisors have been talking about some...
My advisors and I.
Me and my advisors have been speaking of a few changes that we want to do. First of all, as I'm sure you've had some messages. There seems to be a very steep incline of commoners who are going bankrupt, and we have developed something that could possibly stop this. Since our economy has kind of gone into a halt since people aren't really buying, and because they aren't buying, merchants aren't being able to sell anything, and therefore less people are paying their taxes and getting their things taken away. So we have decided to develop a program in which we would essentially hire volunteers to help us with some projects under our government, and they would get paid a fairly hefty sum, in hopes that they would take this sum and spend it, and continue to allow the flow of the coin throughout our lovely country.
Trickle down.
The only downside of this is the jobs that these people will be doing would be fairly dangerous. We are going to try to incite people to join the numbers of the Green Gates in hopes that they will be able to get trained and to become, well, Major, you know more about this project than I do. Yes, essentially what would happen is these people, when they volunteer, they will go to the Green Gates to train, and when they are ready, they will be used to go as a team of expeditioners into the Feywild. Their family will be paid a small bit up front, and when the mission is over, whether if the individual who volunteers comes back alive or dead, the family will then get paid the rest. We have a limit of how many we want to take in per month. It will happen at least once a quarter, when we shall take on more. There's also some projects that the Council of the Sages requires some volunteers with some experiments. They're not extreme, as far as I know, they're not extremely harmful, but they have to do with the defense of the capital, and possibly Porton and Seaport as well. So essentially, we're having these people sign up to die just to get paid a healthy sum. I wouldn't exactly say to die. The goal is not to have them die, but there is a risk of it.
As soon as they start talking about like the Green Gate and things, I kind of, especially Joan, would notice that my shoulders kind of stiffen up, because that's where God went to when he left home.
And then Lord Adam speaks. And what happens if this isn't enough to entice people to join? Well, then I suppose we'll have to draft them. So what is the real reason behind this?
Thank
you
you,
said it
Lord.
was for money, but you say that it is for money, but I feel that there is something else that you're not telling us. And General Major looks over at King Dastrius, and King Dastrius nods, and Major says, well, the other reason why that we are going to possibly need a draft, or to do this whole project in the first place, is the Green Gates has been noticing a has been noticing more frequent attacks from the creatures of the Feywild. And presently, the amount of manpower that they have is not enough. And they need more. Now, you do realize that the more people, the more mouths you put in those camps, the more you're going to have to feed and water them, right? Do you know how many of my resources are stretched out thin to feed them people at Green Gate now? And now you're going to entice thousands of more people to come join? What, you think I'm just going to grow some more wheat and beans out my ass? Well, no. We don't expect this to happen, Lord Green. This would happen gradually over time. Enough time for you to catch up. No offense, Your Majesty, but I don't think you understand how to do agriculture very well. It doesn't take a few months just to make a good crop. It can take years to establish a good farm. You can't just go on any plot of land and expect it to give you some healthy crop. Plants need good eating. Think of it this way. Think of it as like you just went out of some random hill out in the middle of the plains. You went on that hill and you try to live off from it. Yeah, you might find yourself a few rodents here or there, but it's going to take you some time to flourish, would it not? Same thing with a crop. Except that they can't look out for their food. Whatever's on their feet's what they get. What you're asking is a little bit difficult, stretching out to my resources. And yes, I know, it seems like it's an impossible job, but I mean, you are the best and the largest agriculturer in the whole country. I didn't think this would be a big problem for you, Lord Green. I may be good at growing me a nice stalk of corn, but I ain't like Ariel herself. I can't just sprout this stuff like it's hair on my arm.
No, that's a mental image.
Out of character, is the Church of Ariel have like its clerics, like nature clerics and whatnot?
Yeah.
I slightly speak up. If I may be so bold as to suggest something.
Everyone looks at you.
Speaking of Ariel, perhaps to better go down this path of more crops, more resources, perhaps it would be wise to seek the help of the Church of Ariel and perhaps some more agriculturally leaning wizards to help with the increased produce production. I mean, that's just a possibility. I'm not the most agriculturally minded.
Everyone looks over at Lord Green, and Lord Green just kind of looks at you like, you son of a bitch. And he says, that's a good thought there, Dylan Silvarius. Well,
you know my secret, I know yours.
Last time I tried working with them, and you can tell that he's holding himself back. Preachers. They did nothing but whine and cry because they were out into the sun and all this and whatnot. They praise themselves to be sons and daughters of Ariel. But they themselves don't know what it's like to live out in here. They devote themselves to the wilds and to the pure nature that Ariel gives to us. But they don't know a damn thing besides their Bible texts and scripts. Now, again, that's just a begrudging of mine that I refuse. I'm not saying that it can't happen.
Well, I apologize for speaking out of turn, Lord Green. definitely know more about agriculture than.
That's all right. That's all right. Funny thing is, though, you may know a lot about me, but I guess I don't know as much about you as I thought I did.
Nope.
Well, Lord Green will have to. Perhaps after we are finished eating, we can have a very long conversation to get to know each other better.
Oh yeah, you best damn your ass we will.
You best damn your ass, we will.
He's gonna whip you. Holy cow. Sounds like a really upset father. I'm sweating.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the suggestion, Sir Dylan. I'm sure Lord Green will take that into account. And as much as you begrudgingly hate the clerisy of Ariel, they do a lot of very, very good work and do have gifts of Ariel themselves. I've seen their gifts that they have. And they are much more knowledgeable about agriculture than you think. Now, again, this is something that's going to be implemented, and I feel that it would be a very good thing to have. The Green Gates are our number one priority when it comes to defense of our country. Without it, those beasts and creatures would run across our lands and tear up everything, terrorize thousands of our people. And would you want that to happen? No, I wouldn't, Your Majesty. I'm just saying that you're stretching everything way too thin. Well, sometimes it's just, right now, we are in a state where there's a catastrophe knocking on our door. And I can feel it. I don't know about the rest of you. The Feywilds have gotten a lot more crazy. There's a lot more chatter in those woods. Now there's this plague in Porton. This random mysterious crash in this boat. I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel like as if something is off. The clerics, Pope, the clerical leader at the capital has also stated that he hasn't really been getting answers from Seoul. For quite some time. And he fears that something bad is happening, and I feel it. I feel that there's something. So, pardon me for trying to prepare for something. And then Lord Adam says, do not take offense to this, Your Majesty, but for me questioning, but are you trying to say that you feel that it is possibly the end of the world? I wouldn't say that, but I can feel as if we are a cracked pane of glass, and the cracks are slowly reaching across them to themselves. And once when they all meet together, all of us will come crumbling apart, and I want to try to keep this country together as much as possible. And I'm asking you, Lord Green, to help us. The rest of you as well. This needs to happen. Without the defense of the Green Gate, all of us will be in danger. Well, I guess I don't got much of a choice. And then, you see that the door to where the servants had come from that had the wine comes out. There comes out a bunch of more servants with aprons on, and they carry silver platters with them. And they walk around the room, and you can smell this delectable dinner. And they place the silver platters in the middle, and you see there's there's roasted chicken. There's mashed potatoes. There's corn on the cob. There's carrots. There's like a bean casserole. And when this happens, the king says, "Oh, well, look at that. Right on time. I suppose this would be a great time for us to take a little bit of an intermission. Let us all eat, and then after that we can go into the entertainment hall and chat amongst each other, listen to some music, and then when that happens we can all come back together and continue this meeting." And Lord Balkovich then says, "Yeah, all right. Everyone dig in."
As we start to eat, I kind of gesture, very subtly gesture towards Joan, what's the proper silverware for different things, and what to and how to hold them and eat it.
While you're doing
It's all
this,
very strange.
both of you give me a perception check.
I think
Good
this is
boy.
literally the first check we've made
Oh yeah.
Yep.
for this session.
This
A perception
session was
check, you
a
say?
lot of role playing.
A lot of role playing.
Very RP heavy.
Sort of. 14.
So both
19.
of you are starting to notice as you eat. So Lord Green is talking with his wife, and Bethany is chatting with General Major. She's very curious on some of the stories that he has to tell. It seems like Lord Adam is keeping his mouth, is listening to King Dastrius, who's speaking to him, essentially about some things that the Council of Sages have been discussing with him. And Lord Balkovich is just sitting on his end, silently eating. But you can tell that he's staring kind of at the princess, watching her closely.
Oof.
The Lord is or Bird is?
The Lord is.
Okay. What are the children up to? Bert, Bethany, and
Well,
what's the princess's name?
Well, I already said Bethany is speaking with Major.
Oh. Right, the wife. I guess I was thinking of... I thought for a second I got confused, the wife was named Bethany.
No.
But what is Bert and the princess? What is the princess's name again?
Zara.
Zara. Yeah, what are Bert and Zara doing?
Zara is she's eating her food, not saying anything, but every now and then she looks up towards Bert, and Bert will look up at her at the same time, and they both he will quickly look down at his plate, and she will just kind of give off a charming small smile.
Aw. She has no clue.
He wants to murder her.
And but the thing that you notice with your perception check is 3 of the waitresses, and you don't know how you didn't see this before, probably because you were too distracted. But you see that 3 of the waitresses are
3 of them.
extremely good looking,
Oh.
Princess Zara and Joan level of good.
Oh no.
Oh.
And you said 3 of them?
3 of them.
Oh. Oh.
That's not a good number.
I have a question.
That is where we're gonna end it for tonight.
Oh, dang it.
Biscuits.
Oh.
Wait,
and then
how can
Leon
they
and
be
Mason just
wait.
crash in. We're just like,
Wait, how can they be
Friends!
disguising themselves if there's a thing with magic?
Oh.
I guess you'll have to find out next time.
yeah, I need to get to bed immediately.
I'm not fighting these things with no magic. That is...
I have school.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
I do too.
We'll have to get into the habit of ending.
Hey,
earlier.
stop! Girls,
So, this is a good RP session. Next session,
Was.
hopefully there will be some more combat, more dice rolling.
Probably. I
We're in
really
danger.
hope I don't have to fight these things with no magic. That would straight up suck. Oh god.
Don't worry, you have everybody else with you.
I would feel if like
Good night,
You said-
everyone.
Good night.
so it didn't feel like my magic was completely gone. It just felt like it was being thin, like stretched.
Yeah, like it was being pulled.
Okay. And how far, like, what's the radius around the house, like, when I started feeling that?
I don't know. We'll talk about it once when we end this.
Okay.
So
Um,
we'll say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.
bye.
Bye.